The world remembers June 28, 1914, a date etched in the annals of history. It was the day Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, was assassinated alongside his wife Sophie in Sarajevo. This tragic event in Sarajevo, Bosnia, sparked a chain reaction that would engulf the entire world. It led to the outbreak of World War I, a conflict that forever changed the course of history and reshaped nations. The assassination was more than a single act of violence. It was a flashpoint that ignited long-standing tensions. It exposed the deep-seated tensions and rivalries that had been brewing in Europe for decades, tensions that were waiting for a spark. The murder of the Archduke and his wife Sophie became the catalyst for a global conflict that would involve nations far and wide. It transformed a regional crisis into a world war, drawing in countries from across the globe into a devastating conflict. To understand how such a seemingly isolated event could have such far-reaching consequences, we must first delve into the complex political landscape of early 20th century Europe. We must examine the intricate web of alliances, the simmering nationalistic fervour, and the ambitions of empires that set the stage for the Great War. These elements combined to create a volatile environment where a single event could trigger a massive conflict. Franz Ferdinand was no ordinary Archduke. He was a man of vision and determination, destined to play a pivotal role in the future of his empire. He was next in line to rule the vast and complex Austro-Hungarian Empire, a realm that stretched across much of Central Europe. This empire was a patchwork of ethnicities and cultures, held together by the aging Habsburg dynasty which had ruled for centuries. Franz Ferdinand recognized the challenges facing his future empire. He was acutely aware of the growing tensions and the need for change. He believed that reforms were necessary to address the rising tide of nationalism within its borders. Nationalist movements were gaining momentum, threatening the stability of the empire. The Archduke envisioned a more decentralized empire, granting greater autonomy to its diverse ethnic groups. He saw this as a way to foster unity and cooperation among the various peoples. He hoped this would quell the growing unrest and create a more harmonious and prosperous empire for all its citizens. However, his vision for a more modern and inclusive empire was cut short on that fateful day in Sarajevo. The assassination of Franz Ferdinand and his wife Sophie sent shockwaves through the world. His assassination robbed Austria-Hungary of a leader who might have steered it away from the precipice of war. The loss was deeply felt, and the consequences were profound. Instead, his death provided the spark that ignited the powder keg. The assassination set off a chain of events that led to the outbreak of World War I, forever altering the course of history. The years leading up to 1914 were marked by a dangerous mix of nationalism, imperialism, and military build-up across Europe. This period was characterized by a complex web of alliances and rivalries that created a fragile balance of power. The political landscape was tense, with each nation vying for dominance and influence. Major powers like Germany, France, Great Britain, Russia, and Austria-Hungary viewed each other with suspicion. Diplomatic relations were strained, and trust was in short supply. Leaders were constantly on edge, anticipating potential threats from their neighbours. They engaged in a dangerous arms race. Each country invested heavily in modernizing their military forces, developing new weapons, and expanding their armies. This relentless pursuit of military superiority only heightened the sense of impending conflict. Each nation sought to outdo the other in terms of military strength, creating an atmosphere of fear and paranoia. The belief was that only the strongest would survive any potential conflict, leading to an ever-escalating cycle of armament. Nationalism, the intense pride in one's nation, was reaching a fever pitch, particularly in the Balkans, a region long coveted by various European powers. Ethnic tensions and desires for independence further complicated the already volatile situation. Nationalist movements were gaining momentum, and the desire for self-determination was strong. This volatile mix of imperial ambition, nationalist sentiment, and military might turned Europe into a powder keg, ready to explode with the slightest spark. The intricate alliances meant that any conflict could quickly escalate into a full-scale war, drawing in multiple nations. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand provided that spark. His death set off a chain reaction of events, leading to declarations of war and the eventual outbreak of World War I. The powder keg had finally ignited, plunging Europe into one of the deadliest conflicts in history.